Are you filled with fear, doubt, worry about the future of our country? Do you feel the urgency to act before it's too late? If yes, then this podcast is for you. It's time for us to confront the critical issues threatening our nation's fabric, our democracy itself, regardless of our political stance. If you are ready to face reality, handle the tough questions, and find real solutions, then here's your host, Debbie Lynn Molyneux.
Hello, dear listeners. Today is a different format as we end season 2 of Terrified Nation. I'm the host, Debbie Lynn Molyneux, and I normally come full of hope and inspiration, wanting to share with you ways that we can all become better citizens and move beyond our anger and our fear and our despair for the sake of our country. And today, I'm filled with sadness. I'm raw following the election, and I really just want to share with you from my heart. It's been 4 days since the historic 2024 presidential election. And on election day, I was a poll worker. And then I spent the next 3 days in conversation with friends and family, most of whom were angry, depressed, and distraught. One friend is moving to Europe, and others are researching the same. Over the years, I've had several friends become expats, choosing to live where they share more values. Usually those countries are in social democracies, and if you go to Central America, especially Costa Rica, where upper middle class Americans can afford more amenities than in the US, or they're doing experiments with post-capitalist community building. I miss them. I miss knowing that our lives are interwoven. And I also know that our bonds are going to weaken over time, just as our experience takes us in different directions. And as I awoke today, I really felt my sadness. It kind of crept in and filled my eyes with tears as I wrote this missive. And I've been so busy comforting others that I never stopped to grieve, to really feel the loss in this election, because I too am angry and afraid. And many of my conservative friends are relieved and elated because they won. Their champion defeated my champion or our champion. But we all coexist in a country that has been bloodied and battered by political fights. And I'm processing the emotional trauma of the fear-mongering and exaggerated claims in campaign ads. And today, I'm just going to sit in my pain and my grief and my anger. In my anger, I really want to lash out and make my conservative friends wrong. I won't, because I value our friendship more than my desire to be self-righteous. Those years of friendship have earned my trust. And I trust them to see what I cannot. They believe we need tough medicine that Trump promises for our nation to move forward. More order and lawfulness. I also see things that they do not. How might we explore the shadows of our beliefs with each other? We need safe spaces to be seen so we can examine and then discern which beliefs we keep and which we leave behind. Where are these safe places? I see our desire for order or no change may be a cover for continuing social injustice for marginalized people, who are also my friends. I'm reminded of Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail. Letter from a Birmingham jail. You can look that up on Google, where he observes his own disappointment in white moderates as the primary stumbling block to full equality for all. And here's what he said in that letter, quoting Dr. King here. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. Continuing with Dr. King, I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that law and order exist for the purpose of establishing justice, and that when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously constructed dams that block the flow of social progress. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that the present tension in the South is a necessary phase of the transition from an obnoxious negative peace, in which the Negro passively accepted his unjust plight, to a substantive and positive peace, in which all men will respect the dignity and worth of human personality. Actually, we who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of tension. We merely bring it to the surface, the hidden tension that is already alive. We bring it out in the open, where it can be seen and dealt with. Like a boil that can never be cured so long as it is covered up, but must be opened with all its ugliness to the natural medicines of air and light. Injustice must be exposed with all the tension its exposure creates to the light of human conscience and the air of national opinion before it can be cured. End quote. Are we cured of this negative peace? The backlash on DEI hires indicates that we are not. We seek to move on without fully integrating a new understanding. The accusation that people are hired because of how they look and then fail because they were unqualified neglects to account for the system itself. Our way of organizing in government, in corporations, in society at large was set up by and for the ruling class of the late 18th century. Yes, these same systems have led to the superpower of the United States and a wealth-building empire that has surpassed all in history. Yet the underlying assumptions that organize society by creating these norms of interaction have become invisible systems that discriminate against new ways of thinking and organizing. New norms might become new ways of organizing ourselves into new systems that are based on cooperation and collaboration. And these have been thwarted by the existing system. In other words, our existing system is buoyed, supported by our familiarity with it, and it resists any update or outright change. We must examine the 18th century underlying assumption that anyone can succeed in a system that was set up by and for the ruling class. Our unexamined system is the tension that we must face together. The fact that we've turned an ideal of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, into a slur indicates that our preference for the negative or false peace with an absence of tension that King refers to. We prefer no tension to the presence of justice. And our unwillingness to consider new forms of social systems in governance and corporations and society is our primary barrier to a brighter future. Our future requires us to co-create a sustainable way forward. When is the right time, if not now? What are the conditions that we must cultivate? Today, I am sad, angry, and fearful for my friends who believe they will not be safe. Today, I am giving up and I am grieving. I'll be back at it soon, and I'll begin my journey as a Republican to see and learn about my blind spots. In closing today's show, I'd like to thank you, the listeners, for really giving a damn about our nation and wanting to contribute to solutions for our shared future. We may be a terrified nation today, but we can do better. We can save the USA. Join me next time as we begin season 3 of Terrified Nation.
So that's it for today's episode of Terrified Nation. Head on over to iTunes or wherever you listen to subscribe to the show. You can get advance notice on new episodes and bonus content by signing up. Head over to terrifiednation.com and join us on the next episode.